So we've been having our best year ever at Sync Songwriter. And this year, more than any other time, there's been one question that's been popping up over and over and over again. It has to do with, you guessed it, AI. What about AI? What's AI going to do? Is the future like totally uncertain? As a songwriter, I mean, am I going to become obsolete? Is it even worth it? All the AI songs now are getting into production libraries, are getting into reality TV. I read an article recently, 60% of all the music by 2030 is going to be done by AI in production libraries, right? That's the lower tier stuff, typically. But the good news is, at the higher tier, right, the kind of the people we work with and the songwriters that get the kind of licenses that we work for and help people get their music into TV and film, they want authenticity. They want humans. They don't want to have artificial tracks. Even if they're good, they still want real people singing real songs. But people still wonder, right? You must be wondering, like, so that's great, Chris, but like, what happens in a year? What happens in 2 years? So of course I gave this a lot of thought, and there's a million opinions about what's going to happen and people making all kinds of predictions and everything like that. I just wanted to to make it simple, present sort of one example, one idea, and that's drummers. In the 1980s, this thing came out called the MPC 3000. Now, before that, there was the MPC 60, and there was other little machines before that even, and they were basically drum machines, right? They were rhythm machines. You could make all kinds of rhythmic patterns with it, and they had like little samples, and then, the early Akai samplers and the MPC series were the first ones you could actually put real samples into, right? And people started using those who couldn't afford to go into studios and use drummers. So around that time, there was all this talk that drumming was dead. Drumming was going to just die away. Now, there'd be, how would you even compete against, if everyone could have a little box that they could buy for under $1,000 in their house, in their home studio, how could you possibly compete against that if you're a drummer and you cost 10 times that to go into a studio and record, like a record or something like that? Well, 2025, there are tons of drummers. People use drums all the time in music. They coexist together with electronic music and, a sample-based type of machines and things like that. The point is that a drummer is never going to be able to sound as precise as a machine. And that was one of the arguments back in the 80s and early 90s. It's like, well, the precision is just like, unparalleled. It's like, well, yeah, we don't always want precision. It took a little while for people to figure that one out, but sometimes we do, right? What would electronic music be without that precision? What would hip hop be without that MPC swing? It's an artistic format. Same thing happened with singing, right? The auto-tuner came along and everybody was saying, oh man, this is going to be brutal because now anybody can sing now, right? So that means that singing is dead, or good singing is dead. And, everybody and their dog can just get on there and basically sing perfectly, right? Auto-tune's going to ruin singing, essentially. Well, that's been a long time. Auto-tune, I don't remember when it came out exactly, but it's been out for like over 10 years by a long shot. It's probably been 20 years almost, right? It's been out. And maybe more, I can't remember, but it's been a long, long time. And it hasn't changed singing. It hasn't ruined singing. It's become a tool for singing, So all of this means that AI it's here to stay, and it's going to keep getting better, and it's going to get better at making music, and it's going to invent certain kinds of music at some point, right? It's not there yet. It's not very good at reasoning, and cognition doesn't really exist. It just sort of is a pattern recognition system and all of that good stuff. But the point is that it's important to remember that history continues to evolve. Technology continues to evolve, right? History is littered with these examples of new innovations, people being freaked out and being like, it's going to change everything. The internet, right? The internet. So yeah, sure, it's changed things. I ordered some things on Amazon yesterday, and I might run my business online. That's huge, right? I can communicate with you with a video like this. That's amazing. But the fundamentals haven't changed. I'm still speaking the language I speak. I'm still being a human the way I've been. We play by the same rules, the same morals, the same methods. The culture changes slowly over time, but it's generally the same. It just means we adapt to it, but it doesn't mean the human element goes away. So whether that means working parallel with AI, integrating with it more, the future could be a bunch of virtuoso AI users, meaning that people who really know how to use AI in amazing ways. They're the new Mozart. Come to think of it, people might have thought of like all the classical composers said, you guys aren't real musicians. You write music on paper and then have these people who play these like new instruments, they were new at some time, orchestras, these violins and cellos and all of this stuff. That's not real music. You're not strumming the lyre or whatever they used to play back then. People just used technology for what was there. That was high tech back then, you know? So I would say, don't worry about the human element and the artistic element. The other thing that I think is important to remember is that whenever humans have been confronted with challenges or hurdles, you know, to our humanity or to things that were real obstacles or huge changes, as long as we had the agency and the freedom to make that change, people just do. You don't have to use AI. There could be a bunch of people say, you know what? We don't want to do that, right? We want to go out and see a band, right? People have choices. So it would mean that everybody would have to buy in to the idea that, well, AI is just going to be everything, and we're not going to have humans playing music, and everyone's going to have to buy into that, or the vast majority of people, when that's not going to happen, right? Back to the drummers. We still have lots and lots of drummers. Drumming is all over different records because people want to retain that, and it's in parallel with all the other stuff that's been going on, okay? So try not to worry. Do what you do. Believe in yourself. Produce what you produce. And be the thing that you are. And I think everything's going to turn out just fine. All right, so give me a comment below. Let me know. I read every single one. I respond to them all. Let me know how you feel about this. Are you down in the dumps about it? Are you optimistic? Or what's your idea? Maybe you've got a different opinion about this whole thing than I do. Leave me a comment. I'll see you there.